For years, the parents had quietly built their lives around their son. They weren't rich, but they worked tirelessly to ensure he never wanted for anything. When he went to college, they bought him a house, modest but comfortable, so he could live rent-free while focusing on his studies. They wanted him to have stability, to experience the freedoms they never had. It was a gift, a tangible expression of love and hope for his future. They didn't ask for anything in return. They expected nothing. And for a long time, it seemed to work. He studied, he socialized, he had friends over, and life moved forward. But gradually, things began to shift. He met someone, a young woman from a family that was confident, polished, and unapologetically status conscious. At first, the parents were delighted. They welcomed her into the home, seeing the spark in their son's eyes. They cooked extra meals, stocked the kitchen with her favorite foods, and even contributed to little improvements in the house for her comfort. Then came the subtle changes. Invitations were ignored, comments dismissed, and slowly the mother began noticing a shift in her son's demeanor. He seemed more distant, almost apologetic when she spoke, as if he were walking on eggshells in his own home. She brushed it off. Young love, she thought, temporary awkwardness. But the truth became undeniable at the family barbecue the following spring. It started innocuously. Plates were passed, children ran in the yard, and the parents, proud as ever, looked around at their family gathered together. Then came the announcement. Her son's fiancée stood, tall and poised, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We're getting married," she said. The words themselves weren't shocking. It was the delivery, the company she deliberately excluded. "And we've decided that this is a private celebration. We've only invited people who fit our circle. Unfortunately, that doesn't include my fiancé's parents, nor his siblings. It wouldn't be appropriate. They're not our kind of people." For a moment, the air stood still. The mother felt her chest tighten. The father's face went pale. They looked at their son, searching for understanding, for the boy they had raised to be kind and considerate. But his gaze was empty, blank, distant, as if his own mother were a stranger. He said nothing. He didn't protest. He didn't defend her. And in that moment, she realized the depth of the manipulation that had taken place over the years. The parents were stunned. They had given him everything: the house, the support, the freedom to live without financial stress. They had never demanded gratitude, never imposed expectations beyond simple respect and family connection. Yet here they were, told they were unacceptable, unworthy, even embarrassing in the eyes of the people he had chosen to prioritize. It was more than exclusion, it was betrayal. That night, the mother sat quietly in the kitchen, replaying every interaction she had had with her son over the past years. She remembered the late-night drives to the grocery store, the careful budgeting to fund his hobbies, the countless weekends spent fixing up the house for his comfort. She had never once thought about herself, only about his comfort, his happiness, and now he was erasing all of that, rewriting history, and pretending they had no place in his life. The next day, the parents made a decision. Calmly, deliberately, they went to the lawyer and confirmed their ownership of the house. Every document was in their name. Every mortgage payment, every tax bill, every repair and renovation were theirs, not his. He had never been an owner, and he never would be, not if they had any say in it. Armed with certainty, they approached their son and his fiancée. They explained the situation carefully, deliberately, giving them the chance to understand. "This house," the mother said, voice steady but firm, "is ours. It has always been ours. You live here under our generosity, and it ends today. You have 30 days to find a new place. After that, we will list the house for sale, and we will cut all support immediately. We cannot support entitlement, nor can we condone exclusion of family." Panic set in instantly. The son stammered, tried to argue, tried to negotiate, tried to appeal to love and shared history. But the fiancée, however, showed her true colors. She accused the parents of being controlling, selfish, jealous, and unreasonable. She claimed ownership, said they had invested in her happiness and thus deserved. In the quiet that followed the eviction notice, the parents felt a strange emptiness in the house. The walls were theirs, but the echoes of their son's presence, of laughter and arguments and dreams, lingered stubbornly. The living room, once a place of daily conversation, now felt too large, too quiet, almost sterile. For the first time in years, they were alone in the home that had always been a symbol of their sacrifice. The mother wandered from room to room, memories washing over her. She remembered the day she had bought this house for her son, the pride swelling in her chest as she signed the papers, thinking of the life she was helping him build. She remembered sleepless nights when he had been ill, sitting by his bedside, reading to him, making soup, wiping sweat from his forehead, never once thinking of her own exhaustion. She remembered the late-night phone calls, the endless rides to tutors, the constant encouragement when he doubted himself. And yet, despite all that, he had turned against them. It was a bitter pill, hard to swallow, and she felt it in every fiber of her being. But beneath the hurt, there was clarity. She understood now that love is not a shield against betrayal, and generosity is not a shield against entitlement. Meanwhile, the son and his fiancée struggled in ways they hadn't anticipated. The comfortable life they had assumed was theirs. The house, the utilities, the free food, the support system was gone. Suddenly, they faced bills, landlords, and the cold reality of having no safety net. They argued constantly, their earlier illusions of control and superiority cracking under pressure. One evening, the mother received a frantic phone call from her son. His voice was unsteady, tinged with desperation. "Mom, please, I know we made mistakes. I didn't mean to hurt you. Can we talk?" She listened quietly, her heart aching with residual love, but her resolve remained firm. "You made choices," she said gently but firmly. "You excluded us. You treated us as if our years of sacrifice meant nothing. Now you have to face the consequences. We cannot continue to enable disrespect." He begged, pleaded, promised change, but she knew the truth. Promises without accountability were meaningless. Love had been squandered on entitlement, and it was time for the lesson to be learned the hard way. In the following weeks, the mother observed from a distance as the son and his fiancée navigated their new reality. They scraped, argued, borrowed from friends, and encountered the inevitable frustrations of life unbuffered by generosity. The in-laws, who had been so confident and commanding in the house, now found themselves powerless. Their haughty airs, their insults, their attempts to manipulate, none of it mattered outside the walls of a home they had taken for granted. During this time, the mother reflected on the patterns that had led to this point. She remembered subtle signs, the way her son's laughter had shifted when his fiancée was around, the way he hesitated before telling her news, the way he seemed to shrink in his own home. She realized that their love had been quietly hijacked by external influence, by pressure to conform to someone else's definition of acceptable. And though the betrayal had cut deep, it also offered clarity, a clear understanding of boundaries, respect, and the consequences of blind indulgence. The father, too, found a strange sense of liberation. For years, he had been balancing work, finances, and emotional labor, often carrying the weight of his family's happiness on his shoulders. Now, without the constant tension of enabling entitlement, he felt a lightness he hadn't experienced in decades. He took long walks in the evenings, reflecting on the lessons of sacrifice and self-respect. He understood now that parenting wasn't about submission to manipulation. It was about guiding, teaching, and, when necessary, standing firm. As the house was listed for sale, the parents prepared for the next chapter of their lives. Friends and extended family rallied around them, offering support and encouragement. the mother began redecorating, not to erase memories, but to reclaim space for herself, to transform the home into a sanctuary rather than a battlefield. She planted flowers, painted walls, and set up a small reading nook, a place where she could be still, reflect, and heal. Meanwhile, news of the eviction and the story behind it spread quietly in their social circles and eventually online. Commenters praised the parents for taking a stand, for teaching their son the importance of gratitude, respect, and accountability. As the house emptied of its unwanted residents, the mother often found herself wandering into the spaces her son had once filled. She would stand at the kitchen counter, remembering the mornings when he came down bleary-eyed, cereal in hand, joking about exams, about girls, about life itself. She could almost hear the laughter that used to echo from the living room, the sound of doors slamming, children playing outside, the smell of late-night snacks he had secretly brought from the fridge. These were memories carved into the walls themselves. One evening, she sat in the living room, looking at the family photos on the shelves. There he was as a boy, holding a tiny bicycle helmet, grinning ear to ear. She remembered teaching him to ride, running alongside him as he wobbled and fell, scraping knees and palms, never leaving his side. And now, the same boy, grown, stood on the opposite side of respect, claiming entitlement, disregarding years of sacrifice, and attempting to erase the very love that had built the life he took for granted. Flashbacks would come unbidden. She recalled the days she had taken him to the dentist as a child, skipping meals herself so he could have proper treatment. She remembered the late nights she had spent sewing costumes for his school plays, quietly priding herself on being invisible behind the scenes. She thought about the nights he had stayed up struggling with assignments, and she had been there with a cup of tea, a soothing voice, and words of encouragement. All of that love, all of that labor, taken for granted now in a single casual sentence, "You're not our kind of people." The mother realized that part of parenting is invisibility. The labor of love often goes unnoticed until absence makes it undeniable. And that absence now was glaring. She had learned the hard way that no amount of giving guarantees gratitude. The very act of generosity can sometimes create expectation, and expectation, when met with entitlement, turns love into leverage. Meanwhile, the son and his fiancée were scrambling. They found themselves in a small rental apartment, cramped and uncomfortable. Their previous ease, the house, the freedom, the indulgence, was gone. They bickered over every bill, every chore, every grocery run. Their friends noticed the strain. Texts came in, "Where are you? Why haven't we seen you?" Invitations to dinners and outings dwindled because they no longer exuded the aura of effortless stability. The in-laws were particularly vocal during this period, demanding explanations, blaming the mother and father for overreacting. They tried to gaslight the son, reminding him of the house they had helped furnish, of meals they had bought for him. But the parents had kept meticulous records. Every payment, every repair, every utility bill, they were all theirs. And now the consequences of manipulation had arrived. The mother found herself reflecting on family dynamics. She had always believed that love could overcome misunderstanding, that kindness could disarm arrogance. But now she realized that kindness without boundaries was a liability. Sometimes love must come with firmness. Respect, she learned, is not demanded, it is earned, and entitlement left unchecked corrodes relationships. Neighbors began to notice the tension. Some whispered about the sudden evacuation. Some expressed sympathy, others curiosity. But the parents remained above the fray, keeping dignity intact. They didn't explain, didn't justify, didn't seek validation. Their lives were theirs again, and that was enough. Even the siblings who had previously been sidelined in family decisions noticed the change. They came to support the parents quietly, helping with minor repairs, cooking together, and sharing the small victories of reclaiming their family space. The household became alive again, not because of external validation, but because respect and love were finally reciprocated. The son, isolated and humbled, attempted to reach out multiple times, emails, texts, even hesitant phone calls. Each message was met with measured patience. The mother read his words silently, feeling the sting of regret in his tone, but she had learned to separate words from actions. Promises meant little without accountability. Respect had to be demonstrated consistently, not assumed. Flashbacks returned again, this time of the father. The late nights he had spent on extra shifts to cover unexpected bills, the meticulous care in teaching the son financial responsibility, and the patience he had shown when mistakes were made. He remembered the pride swelling. In the months that followed, the house became a true home again. Quiet mornings were filled with the soft hum of routine, coffee brewing, newspapers rustling, the occasional laughter of family members visiting. The weight of entitlement and manipulation had been lifted. What remained was clarity, dignity, and a renewed sense of purpose. The parents reflected on the journey, not with bitterness, but with understanding. They had loved without limits, sacrificed without hesitation, and yet had learned that love alone cannot guarantee respect. They had enforced boundaries, faced betrayal, and reclaimed what was rightfully theirs. And in doing so, they had grown stronger, wiser, and more self-assured than ever before. The son and his fiancée faded into their own lives, carrying with them the lessons that could not be ignored. And though the relationship between them and the parents remained cautious, tentative, there was now a foundation of reality, accountability, and consequence, far more valuable than entitlement had ever promised. In the end, the parents discovered something deeper than any house or financial investment. They discovered self-respect, resilience, and the quiet power of standing firm. They had given, they had endured, and now, finally, they could live freely, on their own terms, surrounded by the love of those who truly valued them. Life, they realized, rewards those who protect their dignity as fiercely as they offer their love, and no one, no matter how close, has the right to take that away. And in that calm, steady understanding, the house no longer echoed with betrayal, it echoed with triumph, peace, and the quiet, unwavering knowledge that they had done the right thing.